Ever stood on a dusty highway with your thumb out, wondering if you're about to meet a soulmate or a serial killer? Road trips are the ultimate American dream, but the legal reality is a chaotic mess of bizarre ancient laws and modern bureaucratic nightmares. Today, we're navigating the 50 strangest rules for travelers. From illegal footwear to forbidden car colors, I promise you'll never look at a yield sign the same way again. 1. If your road trip leads you to Japan during the rainy season, you must be extremely mindful of puddles. It is a specific legal offense to splash a pedestrian with rainwater while driving. Motorists are expected to slow down significantly or move over to avoid drenching people on the sidewalk. It is a level of institutionalized politeness enforced by the law that much of the Western world could probably learn from. In Japan, being a road hog isn't just rude, it is a violation that comes with a fine. 2. Planning a cross-country move through Minnesota, you'd better leave your primate companions behind. The law explicitly forbids crossing state lines with a gorilla in the backseat of your vehicle. It's never been quite clear if legislators were worried about the gorilla's personal comfort or the driver's potential for a total mental breakdown, but a 400-pound silverback definitely ruins the wind-in-your-hair aesthetic of a classic road trip. Seriously, who was the specific individual who tried this and made a formal law necessary? Does this law infringe on your right to travel with your best friend, even if he happens to be a great ape? 3. If your road trip takes you through the glitz of Dubai, you had better keep that car sparkling. The city has a strict ban on dirty cars because they are considered an eyesore and a threat to the city's pristine public image. If your vehicle is covered in desert dust or road grime, you can be fined and your car might even be impounded. It turns traveling into a constant paranoid hunt for the nearest car wash. Do you think a city has the right to police your vehicle's hygiene for the sake of its brand image? 4. If you're feeling like an action star while passing through Darby, Kansas, you need to keep your ego in check. Screeching your tires in this town is a legitimate criminal offense. This isn't just about general reckless driving. It's a hyper-specific noise ordinance designed to protect the suburban peace. Apparently, the local residents value their afternoon naps much more than your desire to smoke some rubber and leave a mark on the asphalt. It's the ultimate buzzkill for anyone trying to make a dramatic, high-octane exit from a roadside diner after a quick meal. 5. Heading to Thailand for an exotic road trip? You must keep your shirt on at all times while behind the wheel. It is illegal to drive a car or ride a motorcycle shirtless, regardless of how intense the tropical heat becomes. Even if you are just cruising along a scenic beach road, the local police will not hesitate to pull you over and hand you a fine for flashing too much skin. It turns out, no shirt, no service applies to the entire national highway system, making the sun's out, guns out philosophy a very expensive and legally questionable lifestyle choice for foreign tourists. 6. In Hilton Head, South Carolina, it is technically illegal to store any significant amount of trash inside your vehicle. This law was enacted to prevent unsightly cars from ruining the manicured, upscale aesthetic of the island. It's a total nightmare for long-distance travelers who essentially live out of a rolling dumpster filled with fast food bags and empty coffee cups. Does a local government actually have the moral right to tell you how messy the interior of your private property can be, or is this just architectural snobbery disguised as public safety? 7. In Oklahoma, it is technically illegal to read a comic book while you are operating a motor vehicle. This hyper-specific, distracted driving law makes you wonder about the exact incident that caused its creation. Was there a massive pileup because someone was too invested in the latest superhero adventure? While reading anything is obviously dangerous, specifically targeting comic books feels like a weirdly personal attack on a very specific type of passenger. 8. Alabama legislators felt the overwhelming need to clarify that driving while blindfolded is a serious legal violation. You'd think basic survival instincts and a desire not to die in a fiery wreck would cover this, but the law exists because, inevitably, someone tried it. Imagine the courtroom drama that sparked this specific statute. a driver likely argued that not being able to see wasn't technically against the rules. It is a depressing testament to human stupidity that we require a written law to remind us that seeing the road is a fundamental prerequisite for operating a vehicle. 9. For decades, the state of Montana did not actually have a numeric speed limit on many of its highways. The rule was simply to drive at a speed that was reasonable and prudent. This essentially gave travelers the freedom to decide how fast was too fast, provided they did not cause an accident. While those days of unlimited speed were eventually replaced by standard numbers, the spirit of the wide-open road still lingers in the local culture. It is a fascinating look at a time when the law trusted the driver's judgment. Are humans still capable of self-regulating safely? 10. On the German Autobahn, running out of fuel isn't just an annoying inconvenience, it is a punishable crime. Stopping for any unnecessary reason is strictly forbidden on these high-speed stretches. Since running out of gas is considered a preventable event, the authorities will hit you with a heavy fine. To make matters worse, walking along the shoulder to find a gas station is also illegal and incredibly dangerous. If your tank hits empty, you are stuck in a legal and literal dead zone. Should a mechanical oversight really be treated as a criminal act, or is this just German efficiency taken too far? 11. If you are hitchhiking through Utah, watch your feet very carefully. While the act of requesting a ride isn't universally banned, it is strictly illegal to stand on the actual paved roadway to solicit a lift. You must keep your boots firmly on the dirt or grass shoulder. This creates a bizarre legal tightrope where one misstep onto the asphalt transforms you from a traveler into a criminal. It is a literal line in the sand between your freedom and a potential citation from a highway patrolman. 12. Planning a festive winter road trip through Maine? Don't let your holiday spirit linger too long. It is illegal to keep Christmas lights or decorations on your vehicle after January 14th. The state considers these twinkling lights a dangerous distraction to other drivers during the dark winter months. If you are the type of person who keeps the tinsel up until March, Maine's highways will quickly cure you of that habit. Is this a reasonable safety measure? Or should people be allowed to spread cheer whenever they want? 13. Long-distance road trips often require a quick wardrobe swap. But in Delaware, you had better find a private bathroom. It is illegal to change your clothes while inside a vehicle if you are in any place open to public view. This law effectively turns your sedan into a mobile locker room that can land you in court. It seems your privacy isn't actually private if you are behind glass windows. Do you think the government should have a say in what happens inside your own car? Or is this an overreach? 14. In South Carolina, the way you ask for a ride is just as important as where you stand. While hitchhiking rules vary by county, many areas strictly prohibit the use of handheld signs to solicit rides on the highway. Apparently, a person with a thumb out is a pedestrian, but a person with a cardboard sign saying "next town" is a dangerous distraction. It is a weirdly specific crackdown on communication that forces you to rely on the universal language of the hitchhiker's thumb rather than a clear destination. 15. If your road trip takes you to Australia, remember to take your keys every time you exit the car. In many Australian states, it is illegal to leave your vehicle unlocked or the windows down more than a tiny crack if you are more than 10 feet away. This theft prevention law essentially punishes the victim of a potential crime. It is a strange regulatory approach that forces personal responsibility through the threat of a fine. Do you think it is the government's job to protect you from your own forgetfulness? 16. While driving through Cyprus, you need to abandon your snacks entirely. It is strictly illegal to eat or drink anything, even a bottle of water, while operating a vehicle. If you are on a long, scorching road trip across the island, you are legally required to pull over and stop the engine before taking a single sip. This zero-tolerance policy for distracted driving turns a simple fast food meal into a major legal liability. It is one way to ensure that every driver has both hands on the wheel at all times. 17. Travelers in France used to be legally required to carry their own unused, certified breathalyzer kit in their vehicle at all times. The logic was that drivers should be able to test themselves for alcohol before the police ever get involved. While the actual fine for failing to carry one has been suspended, the law technically remains on the books. It is the ultimate check yourself before you wreck yourself legislation, designed to make road trippers take personal accountability for their sobriety before hitting the highway. 18. In Ohio, an ancient traffic law states that you must honk your horn every single time you pass another vehicle. On a modern, high-speed interstate, following this rule would make you look like a total lunatic and likely trigger a massive road rage incident. However, the law was originally intended as a safety measure to alert other drivers of your presence. While cops won't pull you over for staying silent, you are technically a lawbreaker every time you pass a slow-moving truck without a friendly beep. 19. Speeding in Finland doesn't come with a flat-rate fine. Instead, your ticket is calculated based on your annual income. This means a wealthy tech mogul once received a speeding ticket for over $100,000 for a relatively minor violation. It is the ultimate Robin Hood approach to traffic law, designed to ensure that a fine actually hurts everyone equally, regardless of their bank account. Does this feel like true justice where the punishment fits the person? Or is it just a targeted tax on success that makes every luxury road trip a massive financial risk? 20. New Jersey remains the ultimate anomaly for any American road tripper. It is strictly illegal to pump your own gas in the Garden State. You must wait in your vehicle for a professional attendant to handle the nozzle. If you lose patience and try to do it yourself, you are technically breaking the law and could be fined. It is a bizarre, nostalgic holdover that makes every out-of-state traveler look like a confused amateur. Do you prefer the convenience of self-service, or do you enjoy being treated like royalty? 21. In Spain, it was long mandatory for drivers with corrective lenses to carry a spare pair of glasses in the car. The logic was sound. If your primary pair snapped, you'd become a high-speed hazard. While the law was officially eased in 2011, it remains a smart habit for any traveler. Imagine getting pulled over not for speeding, but because your backup vision was left on your nightstand at the hotel. It's the ultimate just-in-case rule that could save you from a massive fine and a blurry ride. Should all states require a vision backup, or is your face enough of a container? 22. Planning a scenic road trip through the pristine mountains of Switzerland? Keep your hands off those car doors after 10 p.m. In this country, it is actually illegal to slam your car door or trunk loudly during late-night hours. The Swiss take their Nachtruhe, or night rest, so seriously that a rhythmic thud could trigger a noise complaint from a vigilant neighbor. It is a society built on extreme politeness and order, enforced by the threat of a fine. Does a person's right to total silence outweigh your need to pack up your car for an early morning departure? 23. Heading to South Africa for an epic coastal drive? Remember that livestock always has the absolute right of way on public highways. If a shepherd is moving a flock of sheep across the road, the law requires you to come to a complete stop and wait patiently. There is no aggressive honking or creeping forward permitted. Just you and a sea of fluffy obstacles. It's a slow-motion traffic jam that reminds you that, in certain corners of the globe, ancient agricultural traditions still carry much more weight than modern, high-performance horsepower. 24. In the hilly streets of San Francisco, it is technically a legal violation to wipe your vehicle down with used underwear. This oddly specific ordinance sounds like a punchline, but it was likely drafted decades ago to uphold standards of public decency. If you are on an exhausting road trip and run out of clean rags for a messy windshield, just make sure you don't reach into your laundry bag for a creative solution. Some DIY car care methods are clearly better left for the privacy of a closed garage, away from the prying eyes of the local law. 25. If your road trip takes you through the rugged wilderness of Alaska with your favorite dog, make sure they are safely inside the cabin. It is explicitly illegal to tie a dog to the roof of a car in the last frontier. While this seems like obvious common sense for anyone with a soul, the fact that it is a written statute suggests someone actually attempted this. Do you believe we genuinely need government intervention for behaviors that should be instinctually wrong, or does this level of legal handholding simply encourage people to stop thinking for themselves? 26. In Estonia, every vehicle is legally required to carry 2 wooden wheel chocks at all times. These are small blocks designed to be wedged under your tires whenever you park on an incline, providing a physical backup to your parking brake. It is a rugged, old-school safety requirement that feels strangely out of place in our modern era of high-tech sensors and electronic brakes. Nevertheless, it's a tiny detail that could result in a surprising roadside fine if a local officer decides to inspect your trunk for lumber. Is this a brilliant failsafe or just outdated bureaucracy? 27. If you're cruising the German Autobahn during a heat wave, you might be tempted to strip down for comfort. Driving completely naked is technically legal in Germany because your car is legally considered a private space. However, there is a major catch. If you step out of the vehicle, or if your nudity disturbs the public peace, you can be slapped with a nuisance fine. It's a classic European compromise where you are allowed to be as free as you want, provided no one else actually has to witness your liberated lifestyle. It's the ultimate keep it in the car rule for travelers. 28. If you find yourself navigating the suburban streets of Rockville, Maryland, you had better watch your language. It is considered a misdemeanor to swear profanely from a moving vehicle within the city limits. If a reckless driver cuts you off and you lose your cool, keeping that 4-letter word buried in your mind is the only way to stay on the right side of the law. It's a statute designed to keep the local roads family-friendly, though it certainly makes venting road rage a much more complicated endeavor. Do you think public profanity should be protected speech? 29. Travelers in Italy need to be hyper-aware of the dreaded ZTL zones. These are historic city centers where only local residents with specific permits are allowed to drive. If you accidentally wander past the inconspicuous electronic signs, a high-resolution camera will snap your license plate and an expensive fine will arrive in your mailbox months later. It turns your dream vacation into a high-stakes game of spot the camera that generates millions of euros for local city halls. It's the ultimate hidden tax on road trippers who are just trying to find a parking spot. 30. In Tennessee, it is strictly illegal to operate a motor vehicle while you are currently asleep. This is perhaps the most hilariously redundant law ever put to paper, as the laws of physics and biology usually handle the punishment far more efficiently than any police officer could. It offers a fascinating glimpse into the legal psyche. Someone felt that the threat of a catastrophic wreck wasn't enough of a deterrent and decided to add a criminal charge on top of it. Does this law exist specifically to simplify insurance claims, or is it just unnecessary bureaucratic padding? 31. In Hawaii, it is surprisingly legal to ride in the bed of a pickup truck, but there is a major catch. Every seat in the cab must be occupied first, and all passengers in the back must be at least 12 years old. It is a nostalgic nod to island life that looks absolutely terrifying to tourists from the mainland who are used to strict seatbelt laws. While it captures the aloha spirit, it also turns the back of a truck into a high-speed patio. Would you ever feel safe riding unrestrained at 50 miles per hour? Or does the fresh air justify the risk? 32. If you are road tripping through California, keep your hunting gear packed away while in motion. It is illegal to shoot at any kind of game from a moving vehicle, with one bizarrely specific exception: whales. Why the California Penal Code felt the need to protect the right to hunt a massive marine mammal from a speeding car is anyone's guess. It paints a mental image of a very confused high-speed whaling expedition through a coastal highway. It is an archaic rule that serves as a reminder that lawmakers in the past were dealing with problems we can no longer fathom. 33. Luxembourg has a rule that sounds like a glitch in the simulation. Every motor vehicle must be equipped with windshield wipers, even if the car itself does not have a windshield. This applies to vintage roadsters or custom builds, where there isn't a single pane of glass between the driver and the road. The law requires the wipers to be present and functional, presumably to wipe the air or perhaps the driver's goggles. It is a peak example of following the literal letter of the law while completely ignoring the spirit of common sense and practical engineering. 34. If you are driving through a rainy London afternoon, be very careful where you aim your tires. Under the UK Road Traffic Act, it is a specific offense to drive through a puddle and splash a pedestrian without reasonable consideration. If a police officer catches you doing it on purpose, you could face a fine of up to £5,000. It is a law designed to prevent drive-by drenchings and keep the morning commute from becoming a soggy nightmare. Do you think a heavy fine is a fair punishment for being a jerk with a puddle, or is this an overreach? 35. In the state of Georgia, you are legally forbidden from driving a motor vehicle through a public playground. This seems like something that should fall under the general category of "don't be a sociopath," but apparently, the threat of running over a slide wasn't enough to keep people on the pavement. The law specifically protects these recreational areas from being used as shortcuts by impatient drivers. It is a sobering thought that we actually need a statute to remind people that swings and sedans do not mix. One can only wonder what neighborhood incident led to this rule. 36. If you are road tripping in Switzerland, don't even think about washing your car on a Sunday. Much like the rule against slamming doors, washing your vehicle with a hose or high-pressure cleaner is considered a violation of the National Day of Rest. The noise and the environmental impact are seen as disruptions to the peace that the Swiss hold sacred. If your car is covered in mountain mud, it is going to have to stay that way until Monday morning. Is a pristine car worth potentially annoying an entire neighborhood and facing a visit from the local police? 37. France requires every driver to carry a high-visibility yellow reflective vest and a warning triangle inside the passenger compartment, not just in the trunk. The idea is that if you break down, you must be able to put the vest on before you ever step out onto the road. If the police pull you over and you cannot produce the gilet jaune immediately, you are looking at a swift and non-negotiable fine. It is a safety-first approach that ensures every stranded traveler looks like a neon construction worker for their own protection while they wait for a tow. 38. In the Australian state of Victoria, it is illegal to leave your car keys in the ignition if the vehicle is unattended. Even if you are just popping into a roadside shop for a split second, you must shut the engine off and take the keys with you. The law is designed to prevent opportunistic theft, essentially making it a crime to be a victim of a carjacking. It is a classic case of the government trying to save you from yourself by threatening your wallet. Do you think it is right for the law to punish you for being too trusting? 39. Denver, Colorado. Once decided that driving a black car on a Sunday was a legitimate legal no-go. The logic behind this has mostly been lost to the sands of time, but it was likely a remnant of blue laws, intended to keep citizens focused on quiet reflection rather than cruising. While the law isn't enforced today, it technically lingered on the books for decades, haunting anyone with a dark-colored sedan. Would you actually risk a fine just to display your sleek obsidian paint job on a sunny Sabbath, or is your inner rebel strictly reserved for business days? 40. In Florida, if you are traveling with an elephant and tie it to a parking meter, you are legally required to pay the parking fee just as if it were a car. This legendary piece of legal lore reminds us that Florida has always been an eccentric place. It's a strangely fair approach to animal transportation. If you take up the space, you pay the price. It makes you wonder how many circus performers were trying to skip out on parking fees before this became a permanent part of the state code. Should pets be charged for parking too? 41. In Sweden, your headlights must be on 24 hours a day, regardless of the weather or time. Even on a sun-drenched summer afternoon, driving with your lights off is a ticketable offense. This safety measure, rooted in long, dark Nordic winters, simply never gets turned off for the summer months. It ensures maximum visibility at all times, though it means travelers are constantly told by helpful strangers that their lights are still on. Is this a brilliant safety standard for high-speed travel, or just a massive waste of light bulbs for the sake of bureaucratic simplicity? 42. If you are road tripping through California, Don't get too comfortable on the shoulder of the highway. It is actually illegal to fall asleep on any road or street. While most states have rules against camping in your vehicle, California specifically bans the act of sleeping on the road itself. This law was likely designed to keep pedestrians and hitchhikers from turning a lane of traffic into a bedroom, which is a terrifying thought for any driver. It is a grim reminder that the highway is built for motion, not for dreams, no matter how exhausted you feel after a long desert drive. 43. In Greece, do not even think about lighting up while you are behind the wheel if there is a child in the car. It is strictly illegal to smoke in any vehicle, private or public, if a passenger is under the age of 12. The law carries a massive fine that can reach 1,500 euros, making it one of the most expensive cigarettes you will ever have. It is a health-conscious rule that turns the local police into guardians of air quality for the most vulnerable travelers. Do you think more countries should adopt such strict, clean air zones within private vehicles? 44. While driving through New Hampshire, keep your hands inside the vehicle. It is technically illegal to throw anything, even a tiny piece of biodegradable fruit, out of a moving car window. While littering laws are standard, New Hampshire's enforcement is legendary. Even a stray gum wrapper can lead to a fine that will ruin your entire travel budget. It is a state that takes its "live free or die" motto seriously, but apparently that freedom does not extend to your trash. It is a clean highway policy with teeth that keeps the local scenery pristine for every traveler passing through. 45. Spain takes the concept of distracted driving to a futuristic level by banning the use of all headphones and earpieces while operating a vehicle. This includes hands-free kits that use even a single earbud. Unless your car has integrated Bluetooth speakers, you are legally required to keep your ears completely uncovered to ensure you can hear sirens and traffic cues. It is a law targeting the podcast generation of road trippers who love to zone out during long stretches of empty highway. Is the safety benefit of hearing a distant horn worth the boredom of a silent drive? 46. In many Australian states, you can get a massive fine for resting your elbow on the windowsill while driving. The law states that no part of the driver's body can be outside the vehicle unless giving a formal hand signal. It's a total road trip buzzkill for anyone who loves that classic arm-out-the-window breeze. Imagine explaining to your friends that you lost $50 because your elbow wanted a tan. Is this a vital safety measure to prevent lost limbs? Or is it just the government being an overbearing parent? 47. In the province of Ontario, Canada, being a slowpoke is a legitimate legal hazard for any traveler. If you are driving significantly below the speed limit in the left lane and blocking the flow of traffic, the police can pull you over and fine you for impeding the flow of vehicles. It is the ultimate revenge for every road tripper who has ever been stuck behind a slow-moving camper on a two-lane highway. It turns the left lane into a sacred space for progress. Should every highway in the world have a move over or pay up law to keep the peace? 48. When your Japanese road trip brings you to a railroad crossing, you must come to a full, complete stop, even if the gates are up and the lights are off. In much of the West, drivers just slow down and look, but in Japan, every single vehicle must treat a crossing like a stop sign. Failure to do so is a major violation that will catch the eye of any nearby officer. It is a deeply ingrained habit that ensures no one is ever surprised by a silent train. It adds a few minutes to your journey, but it also adds a massive layer of safety. 49. In Little Rock, Arkansas, you are prohibited from honking your vehicle's horn at any location where cold drinks or sandwiches are served after 9 p.m. This is perhaps the most hyper-specific noise ordinance in the history of the American legal system. If you see a hitchhiker standing outside a late-night deli, do not give them a friendly beep-beep, or you might find yourself explaining your sandwich-based enthusiasm to a very annoyed judge. Apparently, the city decided that the serenity of a midnight hoagie is a sacred right that must be protected by the full force of the law. All right, we have covered 49 points, and only one remains. But before we reveal number 50, it is time for the final verdict. In our opinion, the award for the absolute peak of legislative stupidity goes to the state of Tennessee for their law prohibiting driving while asleep. It is the ultimate redundancy. Nature and physics enforce that rule long before the highway patrol ever arrives. It's like making a law against being wet while swimming. Do you agree this is the absolute pinnacle of bureaucratic nonsense, or did another law manage to outstupid it? Let us know in the comments. And now, our final number. 50. If your idea of a perfect summer road trip involves wearing flip-flops or being barefoot, Spain will quickly ruin your vibe. It is strictly illegal to drive in backless shoes, high heels, or without any shoes at all. The police argue that these footwear choices interfere with your control over the pedals, and they will slap you with a heavy fine if they catch your toes exposed. It turns a quick trip to the beach into a fashion crisis. Do you think the government has any business policing your choice of footwear? Or is pedal safety a sacred right that must be protected? We've journeyed through a world where your choice of shoes, the color of your car, or even a dirty windshield can turn a dream vacation into a legal nightmare. It turns out the open road isn't quite as free as it looks. Which of these bizarre rules would most likely end your road trip early? Let us know your craziest travel stories in the comments. If you enjoyed this dive into legal absurdity, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Keep your eyes on the road and your thumb in the right place.